It's time now for This Day in Sioux Falls History, brought to you by Thomas James and Bechtold Jewelry, the oldest jewelry store in South Dakota, using time-tested techniques to restore and repair jewelry, and using the latest technology to create custom pieces. Thomas James and Bechtold Jewelry, 325 South Phillips Avenue, downtown Sioux Falls. It was on this day, February 7th, 1897, a very interesting passage in the history of Sioux Falls. A man by the name of Richard Lamb died on that day. Now, to hear his story, he led a good life, but at face value, not an altogether remarkable one. Richard Lamb moved to Sioux Falls as a young man with his wife. They eventually had a couple of children. He owned his own business on the main street of Sioux Falls, the street we now refer to as Phillips Avenue. His business was just across the street from the Grand Cataract Hotel. He made his living as a barber, and what was somewhat customary for the day, due to some previous training before coming to Sioux Falls, he dabbled in the practice of medicine. Richard Lamb also owned a small piece of land that he worked. He was well regarded by the people of his community. He shows up time and time again in the newspapers of the day for one reason or another. He served on local boards, joined local organizations, weighed in on local matters. He even ran for local office on one occasion. Upon his death, he is eulogized in the local newspaper with no shortage of flowery words. But what, you may ask, made Richard Lamb so special? Well, the fact is, he was a black man. And keep in mind, this was the 1800s. It doesn't square with everything we've been taught. Black men in the 1800s were not allowed to do all of these things. They couldn't live this kind of life. But Richard Lamb knew back then what many of us have learned. Sioux Falls is a different kind of place. To these pioneers, the early residents of Sioux Falls, Richard Lamb was not a black man. He was just a man that they could trust to do his job right. And they loved him for it. This Day in Sioux Falls History has been brought to you by Thomas James and Bechtold Jewelry at 325 South Phillips Avenue in downtown Sioux Falls.